For the third year and counting, Richard Skipper has been celebrating the artists you love.
And what are some of the things that you've really
run out of time, and we've got to talk about your latest. I want to go back a little bit, first of all, and celebrate a true legend.
Richard Skipper is all about celebrating life, art, and his guest body of work.
And did you pursue performing opportunities while you were in high school?
Please join us while he showcases these diverse and talented individuals. Here's Richard Skipper.
Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Richard Skipper Celebrates. Every year on January 31st, for as long as I can remember, I've celebrated the one and only Carol Channing. She may be on the other side of the firmament, whatever that means, but she's still in our hearts. I feel that she's still here. I feel her presence around me every day. I've been listening to her music today. I was lucky enough to be at her memorial after she passed, and Tyne Daly said, think of her as being in the next room. And I always think of her as being in the next room. I've got some very nice surprises waiting in the wings tonight with some great, amazing stories from two guys who were there with her, and you were very, very well. But before we get there, I am going to share a wonderful little video montage that my dear friend Chuck Pennington put together for me last year, and it was so wonderful that I thought it was worth repeating. So here is Carol Channing doing what she does best, entertaining all of us. Carol Channing.
I'm gonna marry Harris Vandergelder. And Ephraim, I want you to give me away.
I am in love.
Egad! And to think I gave that big bum the best 3 days of my life.
Raspberry!
Now, I want to let everyone know that I have this very special window card, but I am downsizing, and I'm going to give it away to a very special viewer tonight. So all you need to do to receive this window card is put the hashtag Carol Channing 101, because this is her 101st birthday, in your comments, and there will be a special drawing at the end of the show. Now, a lot of people have asked me over the years, how did it begin for you? And those who know me know that and you're going to hear this story, I repeated it before, but my love for Carol Channing began because of Lucille Ball. You see, Lucille Ball impersonated Carol Channing long before I did. There was a special episode of The Lucy Show in which Lucille Ball, trying to get onto a naval base, pretended that she was Carol Channing. You see, everybody was getting into the act long before I. You see, when I was a kid, I used to mimic everything that I saw on television. And that was where it began for me. I was mimicking Lucille Ball, mimicking Carol Channing. So I didn't realize that Carol Channing was a real, honest-to-God live person until several years later when I saw her first big television special with Pearl Bailey. Years later, I was lucky enough to get from Carol Channing the Cecilia Sisson hat, which I own. This is the original Cecilia Sisson hat. And I don't know if you can see it, but Carol Channing signed the inside for me. But someone who traveled with Carol and worked with her extensively was Ray Grappone. And I'm going to bring him on right now. And there he is with his drumstick. This is him from just a couple of years ago. And as you can see, he hasn't changed a bit. They worked together in Vegas. in Don Arden's Hello Hollywood Hello. And they remained in touch for the rest of her life. Ray, first of all, thank you for doing the show tonight.
Nice to
And
see you.
I want to ask you, first of all, what the experience was like for you working with Carol Channing.
You know, it was just so great. I think as I think back, it was so amazing that I couldn't really even get a grasp. You know, I was pretty young. I just went right into the show Jerry's Girls. That's what I started with her. And it just all happened so fast that, you know, I couldn't believe it. See, even when you're playing those clips now, like I knew Carol was a big star, of course, my parents and we all, you know, from Hello Dolly and stuff. But, you know, when you see clips and stuff and really how versatile Carol really was, it's really amazing that, you know, and then you just how mentioned you saw her through that. I was mesmerized. I was really in a whirlwind of playing the show. It happened so fast, you know, because I kind of just went down and got right into it, and just kind of picked right up on it. It was in Palm Beach, right at the theater was the Royal Poinciana Theater.
That's right. That's
in
right.
Palm Beach, and that's where it started. And it was really great because we were up and running real fast, and Jerry Herman was there. So it was really amazing to be. Jerry was playing some of the first shows down there, and then of course he just played a few and left. And we had all these wonderful ladies who played that keyboard book that was on stage, and it was really great because the keyboard. This was like a jukebox musical. Before I guess it was because it was just all the tunes, right? There was
all the music of Jerry Herman. I mean, it started out as Jerry's Girls started out as a review in New York. Our friend Alex Corey was in the original production. It went to the production that you were part of, was with Carol Channing, Leslie Uggams, and Andrea McArdle. And then it went to Broadway with a completely revamped show.
That's right. That's right.
With Dorothy Loudon and Leslie Uggams and Cheetah Rivera.
Now, wait, so you're saying there was a Jerry's Girls before the Jerry's Girls, which I'll show you the what did I do with that? Before the Jerry's Girls, there was a there was a pre-Jerry's Girls to the album Jerry's Girls.
That's right. That's
wow,
right.
So that's great. I didn't know that, like a little run or something too, or like
there have been so many reviews of Jerry Herman's music, because when you've got music like Jerry Herman's music, which will thank God never die, it's like someone the other day made a wonderful comment. Well, they said this about me, and she knows who she is, and I thank her for this. But she said that she felt that I was champagne in a beer factory, which I loved hearing. That was Jerry Herman. That was his music. With all due respect to all the other musicians, there was something about his music. The moment you hear a Jerry Herman tune,
right,
the toes start tapping. It's just excitement. What is it like for you as a musician to be there playing that music, and and these iconic women of Broadway play to night after night after night, to hear Carol Channing singing these signature songs?
Like I say, Richard, I was having a lot of fun, and it was a lot of fun. I remember, and it was really wonderful people. When you're working with wonderful people and everything is going very well, it's like amazing and wonderful. I got to thank to Janet Glazer. I really wanted to reach her tonight, the conductor of that show for me. And all the people that were involved made it really very easy. And it was, all the ladies were great. All the girls were great. And it was a real family of going around on tour with that, because, and then Carol was so nice all the time to everyone. I'm telling you, off stage and everything, taking people out and stuff. She's really a generous person.
What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about Carol Channing from your perspective of working so closely with her?
Oh, well, just that. I think that what we were saying is, like, I don't think people know the versatility of Carol. And of course, Carol's caricature and whatever, you know, all of us who are like, you know, are loud and, you know, in school and everything. And I know I was in front of the, you know, sit over there and twirling the sticks and whatever. You're in showbiz. So people think she was probably, you know, more flamboyant or whatever. They're not really seeing the inner Carol that really like did a lot of things, including being, you know, the person who did Carol. How many times? Hello, Dolly. You know, the Lou Gehrig of Hello, Dolly. The sports. She was professional every night. Really, that was the one thing with Carol. She was really on point all the time, and really, I always remember her preparing, you know, in the dressing room and such, and being just so on point. Never missed it, ever. Of course not. You know, ever that.
Well, that brings me into my next question for you. If you can talk about the professionalism that she had, because I know it as well, that she was a stickler and she demanded of everybody that she worked with that same professionalism. But she was not demanding from anyone what she did not demand from herself.
You know, very true, you know, with her and Charles at the time, that we traveled together. Especially, I really found out even more because during Jerry's Girls, there were other people in it as well. But, and I didn't have too much one-on-one, like through the musical director and everything with that show. But then when she asked me to go onward from Jerry's Girls, just on tour with her, you know, so we did a lot of this touring around the States, like in the Fairmont, a lot of the Fairmont hotel rooms. We also played in DC at the Kennedy Center and everything. And then that led into, do you want to go to Reno? Because she had like this longer run in Reno. Inside of that show, we saw Hello, Hollywood, Hello. And I did go with her there. But through that, I got to really know her more because she had to be ready for that. And she just was ready, like 4 o'clock, started to get ready for an 8 o'clock show. Oh yeah, they'd arrive at at the dressing room at like 4:30 and stuff.
Exactly.
Start getting ready and be. Oh yeah, and
now you were not able, unless you have them handy before showtime, to get them to me. But you talk about the Christmas cards that you used to get. Do you have them?
Yes, I do. You know, and I
found, great. Good.
I found a few more. It was amazing because I was looking through it, and I guess I got more.
Before you get there, I want to share with everyone. I mean, Carol used to call.
Now, that was great for years to do that. Yeah,
every year she would call on Christmas Day. I would get a call at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh wow!
From Carol Channing, and she would say, and it was always the same. Hello, Richard. It's Carol. Carol Channing. Yes, I'm your Christmas Carol. And I would get that call every year on Christmas Day at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm sure that I wasn't the only person she was calling, everyone, but the Christmas cards, if you can talk about this, and there's a reason where I'm going with this, because we've got a public service announcement in a few moments.
You do? Yeah.
Yes. So if you can show us the cards and.
Oh yeah, sure. I think you were talking about that. Funny you mentioned that because I have all my records. You see me in my CD room. And I have my Carol Channing albums other than Jerry's Girls. But I was looking for this funny thing where Carol did a service announcement on a 45. But we got to get to that at another time. But here's one of them here.
That's with Charles, of course.
I used to get them with Charles. I used to get them in this silver packaging like that. And then she has another one, of course, Charles and Carol all the time. But of course, and then, here's another Charles and Carol.
Yes.
And these places, you probably know, Richard, half of these places, like look at this one here. Oh, no, yeah. And that's where Channing is there, right?
Yeah, Chan, their son.
Chan. And then Chan again in this one.
Yes.
Nice. That's probably. And she would put the address. Yeah, there was an address on there. And here's a nice one with like a double. Oh, I go that way?
Yeah, that's it.
Deborah.
Chan and his wife. Yes, Deborah.
And then, just to make it quick, because you guys go get, I guess I even got more. I mean, this is how nice. I mean, Carol sent these from California, I guess from,
It's just amazing.
Look at it.
And she kept up with everybody.
I mean, she kept up to keep up with just me. I'm so honored because you could think, wow, Carol had so many friends and people, you know, and I can't say enough to have an artist that's have worked with somebody like that. I get because really, you know, going on, I work with very, very good people along in my life, but you know, she's really the tops of a pro all the way around and made people feel great. You know?
Absolutely. Well, I've got a little public service announcement that I want to share with everyone. So, and this is from Carol herself.
This next show you're going to hear, it's called That's Kentertainment. And Ken is my dear, dear spiritual son. I've just decided. And isn't he, well, anyway, Ken, that's Kentertainment. And what else can I tell you? Well, happy holidays to all of you. You have a wonderful time on Christmas. And it's a Christmas Carol?
Sure is.
That's my name. See, the reason it's my name is because my father said that a carol is a song or a dance. It's like caroling on the green, dancing on the green, or a carol is a song, a Christmas carol. It's a song or a dance. So he whispered on us.
See?
We are musical comedy experts. And it's called a Christmas carol. That's you.
Well, you're the carol.
Oh, I thought you were the carol.
I'm not the carol, you're the carol.
Oh. That's me.
And here he is. That's Kentertainment.
I'm not the carol. She's the carol.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that you and I met for the first time. It was at Foxwoods. Am I right? How's your?
I think it was Mohegan Sun.
Was it? Was it the Mohegan Sun?
I think it might have been the Mohegan Sun where Carol was doing a show.
She was doing a show.
Well, sort of doing a show.
Yeah. Well, she was doing a show, and I went up where we went up to get the to get her doll signed. Her bear for Broadway Bears.
Yeah.
See, I've done Broadway Bears a few times, everyone, but it's always the BEARS variety, not the other variety. So, but I went up to get her to sign the bear because, as she said, she was not able to be there, so she asked me to step in for her, which was very. And you and I met for the first time, and I remember you interviewing her. And then that first time getting her to say that's Kentertainment. Oh. And I don't know if you still have that footage, but it was hysterical.
Yeah, she was so funny. She well, that's Kentertainment was, you know, this little cable show I did is, you know, for fun and stuff. And then it turned into doing interviews and all that. But everybody couldn't figure it out. Entertainment, Kentertainment, I won't even say some of the things they said, but yeah. So she was a riot, just trying to get it done. She was naturally funny. You know, some people, I mean, they're funny, but some people just have that undercurrent of just funny, and she has that undercurrent of just anything she could say or do. She just was naturally charming and funny. You know, what a gift.
So I see that, you know, my friend Nikki is here. Nikki, if you private message me, if you're camera ready and you want to come on camera, I will bring you on because Nikki traveled with Carol as their personal assistant. And I see that he's here. So I'd love to bring him on if he's available. Just send me a private message, Nikki, and let me know that you're available to come on camera and I'll bring you on. But, you know, getting back to this, you had the pleasure of interviewing Carol many, many times. Yes. And she was always, it seems to me, from my perspective, I could be wrong, that she was always available to you.
Yeah. So when I did my show, every year I would do a Christmas carol. You know, ha, ha, ha. And like we just saw there, but it was just a Christmas theme thing. And Broadway World started showing my show and it started ending up at different platforms. So, you know, it got a little bit more buzz. So Carol would then be available. She was available right from the get-go, though, which was so sweet of her. But every year we would do a different Christmas Carol show with her. And I don't know, I guess there's probably had to be about 8 of them that we did together night. And plus also I would get to do some interviews with her. Sometimes, she would, for example, when she was doing a show at the Curran with Tommy Toon, they wanted to get press out, but they didn't want to schlep Carol around to 15 different outlets to do press. So then I would sometimes, for situations like that, get called in and they'd say, hey, why don't you do the one sit down interview? And then we'll chop up where all the pieces go. Cause I could also edit and do all that kind of stuff. And also we just got along, I speak fluent, musical theater comedy star, and dramatic actress. Cause come on, Carol, come on. Hello, Dolly. When she does her Ephraim monologue, you saw what a range, like Ray was saying, what a range she has. And anyway, but in fact, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe I inadvertently ended up doing her last full-fledged on-camera interview. I think there might have been like a little red carpet thing here and there, but I think I sat down with her, and what was so funny was that we sat down and, I interviewed her many times, but it had been several years since I'd seen her. And we were in there and we're at the cameraman, and she was like, oh, so your name is Ken. You're Ken. Okay, you're Ken. And I was kind of like, I guess she doesn't really, remember or something like that. Well, anyway, we started talking and we started laughing about something. And she goes, oh, Ken, that's Kentertainment. Oh, I thought that was you. Oh, I just had my cataracts done and I can't see anything. And I don't want to wear my glasses on camera. Oh, well, now we can talk. Now I know we can talk. Seriously. I mean, it was a couple of minutes, but there was this spark, and she was gangbusters. I mean, she was fantastic.
Well, both you, Ray and Ken, let's talk about her interviewing long before the internet and everything. And I'm sure you know this, Ken, as well. When Charles was in the picture, they had yellow legal pads. And no matter what town they were performing in, they had a list of all of the press people. They knew who their wives were. They knew who the children were. They knew details of who these people were. And they really made a point of knowing people by their names, staying on top of the children. If the children went to a certain school, when they graduated, what their particular likes and dislikes were, so that when Carol would come back to those towns, it was as if there was a continuous thread that continued. And there are very few people in this business who do that. Ray, do you want to speak upon that?
Yeah, no, I do remember, and Ken, that's a great story. I mean, when she was we were at the Curran with Jerry's girls there, and right at the Curran, right? Yeah, yep, definitely. Yeah. But there was always someone in town, even in the Broadway show thing, where maybe back then. Again, lucky being a drummer, I was very close with the people in the show. In other words, when you were in a town, there wasn't all the internet, so everybody kind of came. I remember Carol always meeting people like you, Ken, right before the show, or getting the interviews done right in the lobby, or right where we were rehearsing with the band or whatever, or the mayor would come down and give her the key to the city right there and right in the place. Carol, here's the key. Wow. And it was really funny because, she got a lot of business done in a nice way, remembering people, because she certainly traveled in the town before. At the time she was Jerry's girl, she certainly had been to these wonderful places. So people remembered her, and we're always grateful that she would come back. She came back in this instance with that show. So she was really a go-getter with the press. And a fun person to interview, I'm sure, right? I mean,
absolutely.
You wish they were all like that.
It's funny because one time I have a friend, Patricia Gay. She may or may not be watching tonight. I don't know, but she wanted to interview Carol, and I said, "Well, I'll call and see if I can get an interview for her." And she said, "Oh my God, that would mean so much to me." Virginia Woolf, that's her real name. Jenny Wolf from Connecticut wanted to interview her, and I got that interview for her. But so I called Carol and I said, I have a friend. she would love to do an interview with you. And Carol said, well, give her my number. And she did the interview. And then Harlan, God bless him, called me up and said, Richard, did you set up an interview with Carol? Harlan, of course, is Carol's publicist. I should never, anyone out there, I should never have set up an interview without going through Harlan. It was a no-no that I did.
Oh.
But I, so I,
crossed the line.
but no, Harlan is a true gentleman, and he was nothing but gracious about it. But what had happened was that he had been trying to set up an interview with Vanity Fair for quite some time. So when Vanity Fair called, Carol said, oh no, I have another interview scheduled.
She's loyal.
Because she didn't want to let me down.
Right.
And
that's
so when
great.
Harlan called and he said, Richard, did you set up an interview? And I said, oh my God, Harlan, I should have gone through you. And I apologized. And he said, no, just in the future, just let me know. But he said, I've been trying to get this interview for some time. And I said, I can reschedule. And he says, no, it's already taken care of. He was nothing but gracious about it. But it was just, you're talking about her loyalty. When she said, I'm going to be there or I'm going to do something for you.
Yes.
She was there. My birthday, which is coming up in 11 days, my mother-in-law, we share the same birthday. And I was going up to, she lives outside of Buffalo. And so Carol called me up. Carol, of course, her birthday is today, the 31st. We're two Aquarians.
Yes.
So Carol called me up and said, so Richard, what are you going to do for your birthday? And I said, well, I'm going to Buffalo. And she said, why? That's one big cemetery. She said, why? With all due respect to anyone from Buffalo. And I
God, my Buffalo friends.
Yes. And I said, well, Danny, she knew Danny, of course. I said, Danny's mom, it's her birthday and we share a birthday. And she said, well, where will you be at 5:00? And I said, we're going to be at Danny's mom's. She said, what's your name? And Esther. And she said, I'm going to call and sing to you and Esther. So at 4:45, she called to make sure that we were there. And I said, well, we're both here. We could, oh, no. I just want to make sure you're ready. I'll call back at 5:00. And she called back and she sang, hello, Esther, hello, Richard, with special lyrics that they had written out for both of us. And Danny's mom, who was not starstruck at all, was starstruck with Carol Channing calling and singing Happy Birthday. And she got off the phone. She called everybody in her Rolodex to tell them that Carol Channing had called her.
You're making me think of my mom too, Richard, because I did have a picture with my mom and dad. They met Carol. It was a great day, Ken. My parents were like, did you meet my mom? And she came out actually to meet them. And this was in, when, again, the Hello Hollywood show, which was, I think she was doing a big thing in the entrance of the hotel. Like, again, she'd do like a 5:00. Carol would come down to the lobby, and meet and greet people. And she didn't have to do that because the shows were pretty much sold out anyway. She's not that she's plugging the show or anything, but it was a big, gambling, the largest floor at the MGM of in Reno, the largest gambling floor. It's a football field. And it's a good story with that is the stage was so large. The stage is like 100 people were in the show.
Wow.
And it was the largest stage,
It's gotta be crazy.
Enough to get a DC-10. It looked like a DC-10 to me. It was indeed a DC-10 where Carol opened that show. She would be in the cockpit, outside the window, doing the customary wave, right? This is how the show kind of opened. And she came out, the DC-10 would come around. Whoa, she'd get away right there. And then, then she'd go back into the dressing room because then the show started. And then she would just do her bit in the middle of this big production. There was actually a segment where she would just come right in. And I remember the band was a large orchestra downstairs in the bottom of the MGM. I'm telling you, this is where like the camel and the ostrich was, and all the clowns and the 100 people and the things that were in the show. And then there was the drum set, and this guy's playing, right? The show, hello, Hollywood, hello, he's playing. And it was on a click track, this whole show. It had a click track going, the hello, Hollywood part. And then he would get off the drum set, literally like that, and I would sneak right on to the same beat, the 2 beat, right? Sounds crazy, right? I would just 2 beat him right into the other beat, and then I'd be on the drums. And then it would stop. Wow. And then it would be Carol comes out right there. I'm telling you, it was a knockout that she came out at that point of the show because the show needed like a relief too of all the, and bam, she's right there. She's throwing out the diamonds. She's throwing out the diamonds. And the show wasn't really long. It was only about 28 minutes.
What?
Right, of her segment. Now, we play her off. I don't know if I did the same thing with the drummer on the way off. I think he just sat back again. Yeah, and then they started the show again. And then what happened was, let me see. She got it off at that, but there were 2 performances a night. So I think if I remember, it was like 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock or something like this. Even later, because I remember I used to see Johnny Carson. It could have been midnight. It could have been 9 and 12. It was the 12 o'clock.
She would have done 4. She would have done 4 shows.
You know, a night. I can't believe that right now that I'm thinking of it.
You know, there's a great story that when she first went to Vegas, and Vegas was a 24/7 town early in the early days of Vegas.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Durante was the hottest ticket in town, and nobody wanted to follow him. And she said, I will follow him because all the work has been done. All I have to do is to step into the love.
Right.
And that was her thing, that she would just step into the love. I mean, I've always said that someday I'm going to write a book called My Life as I've Learned It Through Carol, because her philosophy about life, about work, her ethics, about the work ethic, and about the way that she treated her fans, the way she treated the press, the way she treated everybody around her.
Yeah.
There was just no one like her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People met her, right? You know, I'm sure you guys know. I mean, there was always somebody to meet her after the show, you know, because it was Reno was also other people playing. So you'd never, every time, you know, she'd get me to meet people too, like Sharo was there, or whether it was Sharo there, or
Ray, do you know the story about Ken and Sharo and Carol Channing?
Do you know
so after a while, I would do these Christmas Carol, episodes every year, and some people were like, "Oh my God, another Carol episode! This is crazy!" And after a while, you're like, "Well, how much more can we talk about? She only has so much to promote every few years." So I started adding Charo to the mix. So it became a Christmas Charl, which Carol thought was hilarious. Charles thought was hilarious. But, and then I remember Time Out magazine one year, wrote about that it was going to be on. And they basically were like, this is the most insane, extravagant, gayest thing that's been on TV all holiday season. Watch A Christmas Carol.
They're hysterical.
I can't even say it right anymore. But yeah, Charl.
Did you ever get Carol to do the coochie coochie?
I never did ask her. I try not to cross brands.
Don't pollinate.
No,
we love them as they are. Yeah.
Ken, I want to ask you about those off moments that you were with Carol when the cameras were not rolling. The quiet moments with Carol. Any funny moments that you can share with us?
What's interesting about Carol, what was interesting is that, people, when you do a lot of interviews, and this, Richard, and I'm sure you've seen it a million times all those years, but people they kind of have to ask the same questions because you're promoting something and you only get so much time. I was in such a fortunate position on several occasions to be there with her. I mean, we didn't want to go an hour, but the camera would keep running. Like, we thought we were done. But because I'm such a musical theater nerd, she really got into that. And there was this one time where it was in Holyoke, Rhode Island. Am I getting that right? Somewhere. And I wasn't going to be able to see her before this Christmas Carol this year. So I hopped on a train with my buddy Jason the day after Thanksgiving. And we took a train. We got on the wrong train. Don't ask me, but we got there. She was going to be, for some reason, she was there. She was doing a show way out. And we sat down, and it was right after she got back together with Harry, her last husband, first boyfriend and last husband. And we sat there, and it was very calm, and it was very serene, and it was fun. And if actually that clip that you just showed, that was that day. But if you look in the background, there's like a kitchen in the suite that they were in. And we were hanging out there, and we talked about all kinds of stuff. And at the end of the interview, Harry got up to me and he goes, you know, Ken, I haven't seen Carol in 70 years or whatever it was. And he goes, I learned more today than I think it would take me years to find out just through conversation. He goes, he's like, I found out so much about Carol just from you asking her questions and sitting back and letting her go and tell her stories. Because I mean, you know, I forget when the camera was on, sometimes you forget. And you just are like listening those are the, like, I will always treasure that moment. That was like, you know. And then one other little thing was actually, Richard, I think the first time I ever saw you, I could be wrong, but I think the first time I ever saw you, were you at Lucy Desi Days in Jamestown when Carol was there?
Yes. And the interesting thing about that, and I can't, Glenn Charlo, who's watching, was there as well too. That was Carol's first public appearance after the whole debacle, and it was a debacle at the end of Charles, the end of their marriage, because and I'm not going to go into what happened there. That's for them, but there were choices and decisions that were made that really sent everything going in like haywire at the end. So she left to go, and she went to Rancho Mirage, and she wrote her autobiography, her memoir of sorts, as she calls it. And then she was asked to come to Lucy Desi Days. And Ray, I'm sure you know this, by this point at least, I spent 20 years performing as Carol Channing. I'll share a photograph with you guys. This is the first night that Carol saw me perform as her.
Oh, look at her face. That's great.
Wow. This is the very first night that I performed for Carol, and I'll share that story if you want to hear it.
I remember that dress she had. It was
about how we met that night, and this really kick-started my entire career.
Wow. Great photo.
But Carol, it was early on in my career, and I wrote a letter to Carol, and I basically said to Carol in my letter that her personal life was sacred to me, and that I would never use her personal life as a joke, that I would never make fun of her, that I would never do anything. And I will tell both of you and to everyone who's watching, it cost me jobs, because I was called by Saturday Night Live. I was called by all the talk shows, and I turned them all down. I was asked to go on the Conan O'Brien show to do a segment that I turned down. I was asked to do Jay Leno that I turned down. I turned them all down because I would not make fun of her. And I said that her personal life was always it was private. And I presented her on stage as I saw her on stage. What happened off stage was private. I wrote the letter, and I was able to hand her the letter, and I put it right into the palm of her hand, and I said, read this on the plane on your way back to California. And that I was able to give it to her. But there were so many moments. That photograph that I just shared with both of you, and a lot of people have asked, how it all started that I began to perform as Carol. If you will indulge me, I'll share the story.
No, it's great.
When Brian Summers, who's watching, we had a very dear friend who has since passed on. And when it was announced that Carol Channing was coming back to Broadway in 1997 to perform in Hello, Dolly for the last time around, he said, if you don't do a show, Edward Pitt, if you don't do a show about Carol Channing, you're making a huge mistake. Because I would get up and I would perform at parties just mimicking the voice. And I didn't think that audiences would be interested. And he says, well, you're making a big mistake. And I started putting a show together. Wow. And then I found out that the New York City Gay Men's Chorus was doing a celebration of Jerry Herman. And I campaigned to get to be in the chorus. I mean, to be a part of that concert. I wrote letters and I made phone calls, and everything landed on deaf ears. And the night of the, the week before the concert, this wonderful musical director, Lee LaForge, called me up and he said, what are you doing Sunday night? I'm playing the after party. I think you should crash it. Oh. And if you will get with me, I will learn your show and maybe you can perform the show for Carol. And I said, let me think about this. And this was early on, mind you, everyone. I did not have the career behind me. I was just starting out.
Yeah.
So I am sitting at home, lying in bed with the devil and the angel on each shoulder, the little Carol and the little Carol, going, what if I go in and I bomb? What if they throw me out? What if the press throws me out? Anything. And it was just one of those crazy things where I even have a photograph on my refrigerator door that I could possibly grab and show you of Jerry Herman, who grabbed me that night. And I'll share what he said to you in a moment. But I finally said, okay, I'll do it. And when I arrived, it was at the Regent. And when I showed up and I walked in, I felt like I had landed on a movie set because flash bulbs were going off, as you can see in the photograph.
So you just showed, right.
Our makeup was the same. The wigs were the same.
I know the same. Who's who?
You know, I showed up. Lee LaForge walked me into this table where Carol Channing was sitting, and he said, Carol, meet Carol. And wow. She looked up, and the first thing she said to me is, where did you learn to do this? Before I said a word. And I said, Bennington College in Vermont, which of course is where she went to college. And she said, how long have you been impersonating me? And I said, well, who's to say you're not impersonating me? And she roared and she took my hand and she sat down and she started asking me questions, but I never broke character. And everything that she asked me, I came back with a Carol answer because I had studied her. And then I said, Carol, all these people are waiting to see you. But before I go, I would love to do a song for you. She said, you would like to do a song for me? And I said, well, actually, I'd like to do my whole show, but I'm sure you don't have time. She said, we'll make the time. She said, when and where? I said, upstairs in 5 minutes. She stood up and she said to the entire room, I never thought I'd say these words. In 5 minutes, we're all going to see Carol Channing. And she, like the Pied Piper, brought everyone upstairs. They sat. She sat on a stool in front of me. And the only time when I was doing Little Girl from Little Rock, she got up on stage with me to show me how to do the moves. And after I finished, I told her that I was about to do the show at Don't Tell Mom. I was about to open there. And I said, but I will only open the show with your permission and your blessing. And she said, take the gauntlet and run with it.
Oh my God.
So I opened the show. And because of that show, I got booked in Atlantic City and did 3 long-running shows in Atlantic City. But then I came back after the first show, Cindy Adams had a new cologne called Gossip that they were launching. And I was asked to come in and appear. And believe it or not, the Trumps were there. This was when he was with Ivana. And Imelda Marcos was there. And Anthony, everybody was there. And Arlene Dahl, who was a neighbor, she grabbed me by the arm. Carol Channing got off the elevator. And Arlene Dahl said, "Carol, look who's here." And Carol looked at me and she said, "I have a bone to pick with you." And I thought, oh my God, it's over. This is it.
Right.
And she said, "All my friends think I'm performing in a small club on West 46th Street." And I said, and she said, "What do I tell them?" I said, "Tell them you're performing in a small club on West 46th Street. And she said, "You know, I have." She was so supportive of me all those years.
Yeah, for sure.
And so when she
was there at Don't Tell Mama, right? I'm sure did he produce the show there, or did you had a full run there at the Don't Tell Mama?
I did many shows at Don't Tell Mama, and that years later, when when she got her star on the Palm Springs Walk of Fame, I'm talking to Harry, and by this point I've become very good friends with Harry and Carol. And Harry was really instrumental in cementing our friendship.
Oh, that's nice.
And he said, "Carol's getting the star. You should come out." And I thought about it, and I called him up, and I said, "I'm coming out. I've decided that I want to come out to be there for you and Carol." And I said, "Where should I stay?" And he said, "With us." And I stayed at their home.
Oh.
And if you've seen the film Carol Channing Larger Than Life, the film ends with her getting the star on the Palm Springs Walk of Fame. And that every time I see the movie, I choke up because it's that last day when we were all together there.
Oh, great.
And as we were going, we got there, and there's a segment, and there are all these seats. And I said to Harry, "I don't think there's a seat for me." And he said, "That's your seat." And on the back of my seat, I'm going to cry. On the back of the seat, it said family. And they were just so wonderful to me.
Oh, that's
it was just.
Was Harry in entertainment? I heard that she had met him and everything. Was he in entertainment business? No, because I had heard something once that I thought he was also, in the entertainment business.
Not at all.
Not at all, right? Yeah.
I even thought Carol wasn't even around anymore when they remarried.
No.
I believe. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, for those who don't know, when Carol wrote her book, on one page, she writes in the book that a young woman, she says, I can't speak for the men, but she said, a woman never forgets her first love. Mm-hmm. And she said, my first love was Harry Collegian. And she writes about him in the book, one sentence. And Mervyn of Mervyn Department Stores was on a plane reading the book. And he landed, he called Harry, and he said, did you know you're in Carol's book? And he said, Carol who? He said, Carol Channing. She's written a book and you're in it.
Were they in the same town, the high school or something?
Oh, no? They met when they were kids.
When they were kid.
And they hadn't seen each other in 70 years.
Commodore Sloat Elementary School.
Her first love.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Who gets to marry their first love?
Right.
70 years later. I mean, talk about.
But
crazy.
The interesting thing, if you've read the book, the book is dedicated to another man. She was engaged to marry someone else. And then Harry called her up and they met. And it was as if time stood still. She broke off the engagement to the other guy and they were married 3 weeks later.
Oh, she was engaged right before Harry even.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, wow.
And I met this guy. I got the good fortune. I appeared with Carol. They did a thing called Carol Channing Days in San Francisco. And I appeared with her with the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. And after Carol and I were together, this is a very funny story. This guy comes in and it was very funny. It was an African-American guy, but he had a blonde wig on, a blue blazer, and a white pleated skirt. And Carol pulled me aside and she said, "Richard, that guy's trying to do us."
Oh my God.
So she gave you the green light. There was no worry.
Well, I treated her with respect.
Yes.
And, you know, and I never made fun of her. And when I told her about all the opportunities of going on these shows, she says, "Richard, you could have done it because I know you would have treated it with respect, but it wasn't what I wanted to do."
Yeah. You know, that's very noble of you to do that. And I know people just take advantage of, you know, that thing, mimicking people, right? And then here you go, you know, you had
Well,
and I'm sure she really appreciated that. And then you got to really know her personally. It shows you the nature of her. Very nice person. I wish I had got to meet Harry. He sounded like a great guy.
Harry was a wonderful guy. I mean, I will say this, they tried so hard to create a foundation for the arts. They worked tirelessly for it. Here was a woman in her 80s.
I know they got so much done, right? It would hit. They were together a lot of years. Was it with Harry? Like they got so many
10
things.
years. 10 years.
Yeah.
I remember they were doing that. I would read and getting things together, and she was really happy and whatever the
Don Berger, who's on here. I want to give a shout out to him because Don Berger was the official. Anyone, if you're going to be in San Francisco, you're looking for the perfect driver, it's Don Berger. Don Berger was the official driver for that show. He was Carol's driver, and he was my driver as well.
Where was that?
In San Francisco, and we've remained friends since then.
Yeah, she had always had a driver to get her. She had a personal one in Reno. Another Don I want to mention who was really great and how I got that show was my good friend Ray, also the wonderful Broadway drummer. It's how I got Jersey, but I had met Don Pippin, and he was great because Don Pippin really was with Carol, and she really, you know, entrusted in Don. You could see how he would comfort her right into, because he would sit at the piano and everything would be so comfortable right away. You could see I was young, I could tell, like, you know, and he had known her and known how she acts and everything. And when he would fly in, so a big thanks to Don Pippin. He was really a special.
Oh my God, Don Pippin is the most incredible man. I just love him so much.
Yeah, my friend Ray Marchica worked with Don.
Ray Marchica, another one. I love.
He's my biggest friend in the world. We're sort of even related. He won't think it. But no, great guy, helped me out. And that's how that happened for me. You know, drummers get things from drummers. Everybody comes. And it was Ray who I was watching in a chorus line show in New York. And he was in for a short run, and I got to sit next to the drummer. And Don was conducting that. So I guess I had seen him there or met firstly there. Maybe then they thought, oh, I know this young guy who would get it. As soon as I graduated college, I was on the road like 2 weeks later with this show with them. But I think I was preparing to do the theater thing, and thanks to Ray and Guy and Don, it was really great because he really made it another guy who made me feel very comfortable. I didn't realize how big he really was, even coming into it, you know, not knowing so much about musical theater. I found out real fast, you know, how big people respect Don, and a real monster. He did all the vocal arrangements on the chorus line, right? And so
yes,
he's on that as the credited, and
name. I mean, Don
they
Pippin.
go way back to Hello Dolly, right? Maybe I'm sure he did, but they really entrusted in Don, and he really was behind this whole thing.
Yeah.
Jerry Herman was so nice too, like really just like Carol. I know they knew each other for so long before Jerry's Girls too, and how, you know, he was really a nice gentleman with the cast and everything. And I got great memories with the show. I really have thoughts of it sometimes. Like, I can't believe we did 36 cities with that.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I want to share something with everyone, and then we're going to do a drawing. So this is everyone, make sure that you've got Carol Channing, hashtag Carol Channing 101. But take a look at these two. Somebody sent me two newspaper clippings. I mentioned in my introduction tonight, Lucille Ball, first of all, used to do an impersonation of Carol Channing.
Wow.
Carol Channing also did an impersonation of Marlene Dietrich and everything early on in her career.
Yeah.
I was very, very, had the good fortune of being good friends with Marge Champion. And Marge Champion tells this incredible story that she discovered, for those of you who do not know, she discovered Carol Channing. And they were casting a show called Linden Ear, which was the show that brought Carol Channing to Broadway. So they're looking for a cast of unknowns. So in those days, the Rodgers and Hammerstein organization had casting offices in San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York. So Marge Champion goes to the Los Angeles office, and she's asking if they can give a list of unknowns. And there was Carol Channing. And she said, well, she's here every day. We don't know what she does. She goes to Carol, and she said, we're holding auditions. Would you like to come in and audition for the show? And Carol said, yes, I would. So she says, come with me. Carol gets in the car. She's going with Marge. And Marge says, well, what exactly do you do anyway? And Carol said, I do impersonations. And she said, like who? And she said, Uta Hagen. She said, Uta Hagen. Who does Uta Hagen? But look at these pictures. And these just came to me. I am sure that everybody here is getting an exclusive tonight. These have not been seen in years. Look at this. This is early. This is the beginning of Carol Channing's career.
Oh my God. And what a drum set behind her. God.
Look at those drumsticks.
Look at those tom-toms. Look at that.
Yes.
Oh.
So let's do this. I am going to bring this up here. Let's see. There are 14 people out of 44 people who are watching. So this is your last chance. I will give you 1 minute. Let's see here, everyone. While we're waiting this, Ray, do you have any closing comments about Carol that you would like to leave us with?
Well, no, just because you guys were in my record room, I want to force you. I wanted to show you all the great records that I have. Of course, the Jerry's Girls one you saw. Then I also have my copy of Hello, Dolly. These are all on my vinyls. And
Lorelei.
Like Lorelei right there, which I found recently. And this one, you like this one, Richard.
Carol Channing Entertains. I have it.
Oh, yeah.
How about that on Command Records?
Yes.
And I misplaced my 45. When I find it, I'm going to send it to you, Richard, because Carol is doing on this 45, she's doing like a service announcement type of thing. You'd like that, Ken. She's talking to some park rangers or something.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I was looking all over for it, couldn't find it. But
Ray, since you showed the albums, I've got something to show you. Hold on a second.
Great. That's what I have in my Carol collection. If you guys have any other ones, let me know.
I do. I didn't think about it. I have her country and western records. She made 2 of them.
So
yeah.
Does this
There's somewhere back here?
Does this look familiar?
Oh, wait a minute. Is that her?
Is that her dress?
That's her dress that she wore in Jerry's Girls.
Jerry?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Jerry Girl. Jerry's Girl.
Wait a minute.
Yes. Now, look on the back of the album.
Oh, yes. It's on the back
you
of the album.
You want to share the photograph?
Yeah. You know what? She's got those with the Mackie dresses, right? Yeah. Look, there you go. Look.
And there it is.
Oh, that looks like a photo from Dynasty.
No, there's a picture inside the album.
Oh, inside. Okay. Oh, really? You got that, Richard? That's fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, here it is. On this. I think it's that one. Wait.
Oh, no, it's up there. Yeah, I see
it. There it is.
Yeah, it's in a group shot. Richard,
did you get that from the auction?
I got that from the auction that she did many years ago. She did
Okay, so the last auction,
she did an
yeah,
auction right after. Everybody, this is it. I'm going to do the drawing. Ken, before we do the drawing, do you have final comments on Carol? And then I'm going to give my final word.
Just that, I mean, what can you say? I mean, I learned, believe it or not, interviewing, you learn from talking to people and having conversations. And I learned so much from her. Just simple things. I'm probably not doing it well tonight because I'm out of practice, but how to sit still and how every movement means something, and don't do it, just things like that. And which actually helps you just in everyday life. Just having conversations and meeting people and talking to people and smiling at people. And she always brings a smile to my face, doesn't she?
Okay, this is going to go to somebody. And there's the ring light over it, so let's, we're going to do the drawing right now, and then I'll give my final word on everything.
Great.
So let's do this. And this is how this works. I love how this works.
Wow. I should have entered. What was I thinking of?
Jim Johnson.
Jim.
So Jim, make sure that you write down my email address. It's richard@richardskipper.com. And you send me the email, and I will get this in tomorrow's mail. And we'll get this to you as soon as possible.
Nice.
So thank you for watching, and thanks for being here tonight. But don't go anywhere for just a moment. I'm going to just take this off screen.
While you do that, I'll show my Carol Channing paper doll book that my friend Paul gave me. Paul Shesha, his name is. And,
yeah.
Sweet guy. Look at that. I mean, come on. Where else? Come on.
Right.
Just happen to have it laying around.
So everyone,
find those LPs, though. Find those records.
Yes, absolutely.
The Western.
The country western record. I will. They're great.
I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I remember when the morning after Carol was at Feinstein's at the Regency, I was going to take them for breakfast, and I called them up and I said to Carol, "You pick anywhere you want to go in the city. It's on me." And she says, "I'm partial to Subway." And believe it or not, she loved Subway. I mean, here was this great Broadway actress who had wined and dined, major stars, everyone, but she loved Subway.
She didn't bring her little lunch.
Those were the days.
Oh, yeah, she got a strict diet, right?
Yeah, she used to have a strict diet, and then she told me in an interview. She said ever since she met Harry, suddenly she didn't have her allergies anymore.
It was Charles that put her on that weird diet. But I want to thank everybody who showed up tonight. Carol had this philosophy that she would never miss a performance. And the reason that she didn't miss a performance is because she felt that if people had spent whatever they spent to see her performance, that they deserved her to give her all. She said they had saved money on babysitters and put those dates on their calendars and everything. She had a section in most of the theaters that she performed in where they still had the same ticket prices that were available when she first did Dolly for the rest of her career, because she wanted people to be able to come and see her. She believed that she taught Tommy Tune, you take it amongst the people, because if you do that, when they come to New York, they'll return the favor and they'll come see you. It means so much to me that when you show up for these shows, I hope if this is your first time here at Richard Skipper Celebrates, that it won't be your last time. Please subscribe to this channel. Check out the other artists. Go to YouTube and check out That's Kentertainment. Check out what Ray is doing. Check out all of these artists that I celebrate on this platform. Please go to their sites, see what they're doing, but leave a comment here on YouTube. Share this with your friends, and let's celebrate Carol Channing each and every day. Let's celebrate each and every person each and every day. There's a great site that I want everyone to go to, and I want you to write this down as well. It's on the bottom of your screen. It's called whatyoumeantome.com. I want everybody who sees this to go to this site, whatyoumeantome.com. And as you can see, it's the number 2. Then I want you to go to your Facebook friends list, and the 4th name that pops up, I want you to reach out to that 4th friend by filling a form out on whatyoumeantome.com. Because we're not promised tomorrow. This is it. This is the performance. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is it. None of us are promised tomorrow. So please show up, as Carol always did, and do the best job you can and support each other. As my dear friend David Friedman always says, we're all in this together, but we're not in the same boat. And I always say, if you're going to go out in a boat, make sure you bring a skipper along. One other thing that Carol always said to me, and I'm going to leave this with all of you. She said, for every person who likes you, there are an equal number who don't. Let's only focus on those who are there to lift us up. Carol lifted all of us up. Let's lift each other up. Thanks for being here. Have a wonderful evening, and I hope to see you all sooner rather than later and under very good circumstances. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.